starting right now. And then let's just do introductions and then I'll do the bowl and then we'll do the meditation. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So why don't you go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. All right. Well, lots of you know me already. I'm Billie Ortiz. I've been doing dreams for over 20 years. I love metaphor. I love symbolism. I love the tarot because it's like an ancient map of the unconscious, of archetypal energies within the unconscious. So that's why I love getting together and having these groups, and the open discussions that come together is just always something new comes out of this. So I'm excited you're all here.
And I'm Patty Ashley. I'm a psychotherapist and an author here in Boulder, Colorado. And I love working with metaphor and archetypes and dreams, and so grateful that Billie and I have this Saturday afternoon experience that we get to do together, and it's so fun to work with the archetypes, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
So we're gonna and we were gonna say a word, just one word if you can, because we'll save our discussion about the Hermit. It will go definitely into more detail, but just one word when you think of the Hermit. And if you don't have a word, that's okay too. But my word would be two, going inward. Billie,
yeah, that's and for me it would be inner wisdom.
Okay.
That's
So I'll go around the way you are on my screen, and you can tell us your name, where you're from, and your word or two words that you think of when you think of the Hermit. So Becky, you're next on my screen here.
Oh, Becky, you're muted. There you go.
Watch that. Okay. I'm Becky Cleland from North Carolina, foothills, and let's see. I'm a retired librarian and an author of a book on dreams and how to interpret them and so forth. Let's see. That's all, I guess. Let's see. My word for the Hermit is seclusion.
Great word. Yeah. Good one.
Thanks, Becky. Pat?
Pat McNeil, here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. When I was a child, I was called a dreamer, and I finally grew into it. And for me, the Hermit is the number 9. Just visually, like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Christine?
Hi, I am Christine Arnott. Pat, I'm actually originally from Hampton, Virginia, so we once upon a time were neighbors, but I'm calling from Fort Collins, Colorado, and my one word for the Hermit would be introspection.
Great.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Elizabeth?
Hi, everybody. I am currently in Herndon, Virginia. So hi, all the Virginians. But I consider Colorado my home, and I lived there like 30 years and hope to return someday. I was in Billie's groups and the weekends with Billie and Jeremy Kaler for many years before I meet. And I still like checking in and still connecting. And actually, this is my Hermit card. It's from the Cosmic Tarot deck, and I love it because he's more like a hippie guru than the stark hermit. And to me, I was actually my soul card is the Hermit. My personality card is Moon, so I'm a Hermit Moon. And my word would be, it's not a one word, but there's just this core of inner knowing.
Yeah, that's good. Inner knowing, I love it. Core of inner knowing.
Yeah, but nothing changes it.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth. Terry? Terry's on.
Terry's going to get us up and start jumping up and down here. That's what she likes to do, get people up and moving.
Am I muted?
There
I
you
was
go.
trying,
There you are.
here I am. I was trying to unmute in the wrong place.
Uh-huh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Terry Freilich, and I am also here in Colorado. I'm in Longmont. Here's my hermit.
Hmm.
And my word
Ooh.
is solitude.
Mm.
Solitude. That's good.
Thank you, Terry. Donna. You're muted now, Donna. You have to unmute. There
you
you
Okay,
go.
can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
I'm Donna Remmer, and I am part of the Dream Tribe that Billie and Patty kind of organize and make happen. And
Yeah.
I live in Boulder, Colorado, and my one word would be aloneness in a good way.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. Good.
Thanks, Donna.
Very good.
Judy.
Yes, Judy Ward. I'm in Spokane, Washington. And my word would be soul searching.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's all good ones. Oops, sorry. My phone just went off with a little
Oh,
chime in confirmation of your soul search.
yeah.
Apparently it hit a chord. Okay. With the
Right.
other word.
Thank you, Judy. Trisha.
Hi, Trisha here. Can't see that far. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I am just basically a novice at tarot cards and love learning about them. So I'm here. I was invited by Ashley, by Patty. So I'm here. I guess my word would be unconscious self.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Thanks, Trisha.
You're welcome.
Natalie.
Natalie, hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm from Longmont, and I'm part of Billie's Dream Tribe too. And my word would be solitude.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Natalie. Olga.
Hi, I'm Olga from Denver. I'm a retired high school counselor, and I have been enjoying the interpretation of dreams with Billie, the learning about archetypes and tarot. And so my words would be isolation and self-knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Denise.
Let's see, I'm Denise Connor. I'm from outside Washington, D.C. Have been interested in the tarot for a number of years on and off. Long time dream worker with Jeremy Taylor. And the Hermit for me is a 9. And a 9 is in my numerology is it's kind of the main number. And for me, the Hermit is all about contemplation.
Yeah, those are good words.
Thank you, Denise. And Billie mentioned when we picked the state that 1 + 8 is 9. So today is the 8th. And we've had a couple people mention 9. Bo?
And I was born on the 18th of a month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Here we go. It's all connected.
Did you say me, Billie?
I did.
Patty said.
Hi guys. My name is Bo, and I'm coming to you from Boulder, Colorado. And let me see. Things are changing, So, the 2 words that come to mind is collective solitude.
Right. Currently, yeah, that's exactly what we're in. Collective solitude. Yeah. Very good.
Oh. Ruthie?
Okay. Hi, I live in Boulder currently, and been following Billie's Tribe for quite a while. And my 2 words would be isolation and freedom.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
Hi, I'm Catherine from Fort Collins, a Billie tribe. Definitely one of the Billie tribe. I'm a retired many things. I was a bassoonist. I'm still a student of astrology, although I also work, but I've retired from that, and a few other things. My word for the Hermit, I love that people are focusing on the number 9, because the number 9 is the last of the numbers in the English language that is 1 digit. So for me, there's a completion to it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we start to repeat. So the principle of completion.
Great.
Wow. Nice.
Christina.
Hello there. Hi.
Oh, hi, Christina.
Or is it a different Christina you were calling?
No, you're right.
Okay.
There's another Christina, but Patty did mean you because you're right next to Catherine. So go ahead. We started a little bit before you because we were waiting and we just went ahead and got going.
No. I actually had a busy day and I'm only going to be able to stay for an hour. I hope you don't mind. But well, my name is Cristina Barcelon and I'm originally from Mexico. Lived in Europe half of my life, and I'm in Boulder, and I'm retired from the university. And for me, the Hermit is really completion more than anything. And I'm hoping that we're going to complete whatever is going on with a big bang and get on with our good life. So that's my desire. But that's for me, the Hermit is representing that.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Christina. Junia.
Hello, Patty.
Hi, Christina.
I muted a few people because there was a lot of background and I'm not sure where it was coming from. So if you need to be unmuted, let me know. I'm glad you're here, Christina. Thanks.
Here comes Junia.
Hello, I'm Junia. And I'm currently in Colorado Springs, the last 40 years in Denver. And everybody has taken all my words, but inner reflection. It's just that time going within and
that's
being really quiet. And
yeah, reflection's great. Thank you. That's good. I'm gonna unmute you, Mary, so that you can introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Mary. I'm in Austin, Texas, where Donna Remmert used to live and where I met her. I'm retired from the state of Texas. That sounds rather odd, I suspect. I'm retired from my job with the state of Texas. I love dreams, astrology, everything that we've been talking about. My word for the Hermit would be inner security.
Oh, nice. That's good. I'm going to mute myself because my neighbor decided to build a shed or something while this is happening. So I'm going to be muted back and forth just because I know there's probably background from that. So, but let's go ahead, Patty, if you want to take, well, first I'll do the bull and then I'll mute myself because we're going to go into, so thank you everyone for being here. We're going to do a little centering exercise here. So hang on a second. And I don't know where this is. There it is. Have to get all the tools together. So take a deep breath and get in your body. And we're going to just do some sound. And then Patty's going to lead us in an meditation.
Oh, as we come together in this sacred space of archetype, I invite you to take a deep breath into your lower belly. Exhale any tension you might be carrying and just let it go. The rhythm of the breath in and out. Come together in the stillness of the space, knowing that every part of this archetype today that shows up has something for our inner wisdom. Just that. It's perfect timing, perfect place. Imagine for a minute if the hermit could speak. What the hermit might say. So if the hermit could speak, what the hermit might say is, little by little, I have freed myself of all bonds. I no longer belong to my thoughts. My words do not define me. I have vanquished my passions. Detached from desire, I dwell within my heart as if inside a hollow tree. My body is a vehicle that I witness as it ages, passes, and vanishes like the irresistible course of a river. I no longer know who I am. I live in total ignorance of myself. To reach the light, I bury myself in darkness. To attain ecstasy, I cultivate indifference. To achieve the love of all things and all beings, I have retired into solitude. It is there, in the remotest nook of the universe, that I open my soul like a flower of pure light. Gratitude without demand. The essence of my knowledge is the knowledge of my essence. So as we come together today in this space, we take in the words and wisdom of the hermit, and we come together in trust and knowing. Perfect completion, 9 number. In this time of solitude, we come together to lift each other up in the light of the inner wisdom. And so it is. So when you're ready, you just open your eyes and come back into the Zoom room.
Wow, thank you, Patty. That was great.
You're welcome.
So, I saw a lot of people showing their cards with introduction. So is there anybody who wants to talk more about an image that they have with the tarot? Christine, yeah, I see you have a card right there. You want to go ahead?
Sure. So I use the Wild Unknown deck, and my Hermit, I love it so much. I love the whole deck, but my Hermit is this beautiful little turtle in his shell, or her shell, or their shell, with a candle burning. And I think that there's, not only do I love just the images of nature that are iconic of this deck, but I don't know, just something about the beauty of being with yourself, being fully with yourself, and letting your light shine. Just, it makes my heart happy. It makes my heart glow.
Yeah, and what was the name of the deck again? The Wild Unknown?
The Wild Unknown.
Wow, I've never heard of it. Do you have the box nearby? We can
I
do a little
will,
short advert.
I will go step away and bring it.
Oh, okay. No, no
Someone else
worries.
can go.
You can tell us later, but I've never heard of it. It sounds very interesting. Thank
I
you.
haven't been able to find it anywhere.
Oh, I found it in a local shop here in Fort Collins called Northern Lights.
Great.
And so, Becky, you had something?
Yes, I've got a Rider-Waite Hermit.
Yeah.
And this one, if I can get it nice. It has a light.
I think that's an Aquarian deck.
Yeah, that's not the Rider-Waite.
Oh, the Aquarian deck. Oh, okay.
That's something else. Yeah.
It's the Aquarian deck.
Okay.
I think.
I see he doesn't have a staff, which is sort of too bad, but I'm interested in these structures up here. This I don't know what to make of those.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hooded. His cloak has some kind of a I don't know, radiant little marks all around the neck and the sleeve, which I think is intriguing too.
That's great. The light seems to be one thing that is consistent with the images of the hermit. It's about you know, I used to sing that song when I was in vacation Bible school. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You know, so there's that kind of that metaphor of what part of me do I hold on to, that spiritual light that is my own,
Right.
in my version of it. So Patty, I mean, Donna, I know you like aloneness, right? From the Osho Zen Tarot?
I don't have the card, I'm sorry to say.
I do.
Oh, good. I knew you'd have it.
There he is.
That one. Speaking of light, that's all
Yeah.
light right there.
I have many dreams that bring up the comments in my dream group about the hermit. And these dreams are always very spiritually charged with positive energy. And they're about, in one dream recently, I'm hovering over an Asian spa or retreatment center. And there are paper lanterns, and it's just beautiful. And I'm alone by myself in that setting, and I'm flying or hovering. And there is a part of me that's very comfortable with being alone, even though I mostly love being with people because I'm quite an extrovert.
Yeah.
I also like aloneness.
Yeah. So yeah, this one has a, instead of a lantern, he's got the light coming from within. That's his own personal light. Somebody had a comment? I'm sorry. Natalie, go ahead. You got to unmute, please. There you go.
Sorry, I have an image from an art book done by a fiber artist, and I got several images from this book. She did several of the tarot archetypes, and so this is all fiber art. It's all fabric.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I'm sorry, I can't recall her name presently, but you can see he's carrying a small lantern and walking down a golden path. And I like to think that perhaps the tree is the tree of knowledge.
That's beautiful. That makes me think of those Russian tapestries that depict the fairy tales and stuff. That's amazing.
Yes, it's not woven. It's really mostly applique. All kinds of fabric and fabric scraps and ribbon and beads and you name it.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I can show you the card that's in the deck from the reading that I read. This is the Marseille deck, and so that's Hermit in French down there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
His light's kind of like there, the lantern, but you don't really see
the
light itself. That's out of this book. That's what I read from. And then Snow White. I always do my inner child one. So Snow White is the Hermit in my inner child deck. And it talks about how she had to be poisoned a couple times and then finally lose consciousness in order to become conscious. So that's how she looks at.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, she has to kind of go. Yeah, she has to go unconscious if there's a few cycles. Exactly.
Right.
Very nice.
So the book explains all that.
So I wanted to actually read this part from the Osho Zen Tarot. It's actually the Osho comments because I think it helps us with our current situation of social distancing and everything still happening. So I'll hold this up and read this. It says, "When you are alone, you are not alone. You are simply lonely. And there's a tremendous difference between loneliness and aloneness. When you are lonely, you are thinking of the other and you're missing the other. Loneliness is a negative state. You're feeling that it would have been better if the other was there. Your friend, your wife, your mother, your beloved, your husband. It would have been good if the other was there, but the other is not. Loneliness is the absence of the other. Aloneness is the presence of oneself. Aloneness is very positive. It is a presence, overflowing presence. You are so full of presence that you can fill the whole universe with your presence, and there is no need for anybody."
Wow.
I thought that was great because I thought, isn't that the way it is? I mean, it's like I can feel lonely and a loss, or I can feel the abundance of that inner knowing, as we've all said, all the adjectives and descriptions that everyone came up with. Finding that, and that's what. And later I'll do a screen share, and I'll because we've been using this book as the study guide, and I think I can pronounce his name right now. Elizabeth, is it Hayo, right?
Hero.
Hayo.
Hero. Oh.
No, but his name, the author's name, Hayo.
Hayo Banzaf. Banzaf.
So this is the book I've been working from. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get now. I keep looking at it on Amazon, and they're like, it's like $95 for you. Oh, she's got it. Yeah, Elizabeth has it. Yeah. So were you able to find it online for less than that? I can't hear you. You're muted still.
I think I've had it for the last 20 years or so. It's definitely something I've had a long time.
Right. I think I bought it about 10 years ago or something, back when I was really studying the Tarot. And I mean, I'm so glad I got it because it's a beautifully illustrated book, and he goes so deep into the history of the archetypes through mythology and fairy tales, and wonderful. And it's just amazing how he ties it all together. So there's go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I just got it a few months ago, and I found it, I can't remember if I found it on A-Libris or eBay, but it was nowhere near that expensive. I mean, it was I think it was less than $10.
Oh.
I just barely got mine on eBay. I've been on the list since 2 months ago, and I just got it on eBay for $32.
Well, see, the
I
deals
might
are
have found it on A-Libris then, because I didn't pay anywhere near that much either.
Wow.
Whoa. So, and what condition was it in, Denise? Was it?
It's in excellent condition.
Wow. So somebody was just clearing out their library, and they just thought, yeah.
I guess,
lucky find.
Yeah.
What is the last name again of the arrow? What is his last name?
Banzhat.
B-A-N-Z-H-A-T. B is in banana, A is in apple, N as in nectar, Z as in zebra, H as in hat, A as in apple, F as in Frank.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So so good finds on that, because so look at eBay for this, or the A Libris thing. That's great. Anybody else have anything else they want to share?
I have a really cool deck. I joined some women, and I decided, since I'm a giver, that my path would be to follow the goddess Hestia, whose role is the home and the hearth.
Right.
So I got these, and they're called the Spirit of Herbs card. And each card has a herb that's related to it. So up here you can see this one is licorice. So it kind of ties in the herb with the intent of the card. I find that just fascinating. So it's fun.
Catherine, in this book, this one, they mentioned Saturn, something how it's related to Saturn. Do you have a thought on that?
Sure, yes. Saturn is always about structuring things and organization, and frequently an elder. So there's an association, Saturn, with authority figures, or whatever currently is authority figures. Saturn also is about restrictions and limitations. It's about making choices. And the final thing about Saturn is about what manifests in physical form. So there's a very big physicality to Saturn.
It says the Hermit is a very undercover figure. His layers of clothing suggest cold and winter, Saturn-like characteristics that are often attributed to him, and which also reflect a certain chilliness of wisdom and inner solitude.
That's the limitation side of Saturn. The time when Saturn is in its energetic in the year is in January, when it's cold and when it's dark. And it happens at Christmas time that Saturn energy is up. So yeah.
Elizabeth has her hand up.
Yeah, to me, Saturn has something to do with wisdom. So I also think of the Saturn return. My Hermit has Saturn symbol on the sleeve. So how does that connect with maybe your personal Saturn return coming in?
May I say, Saturn return is very much about the first cycle. Saturn was in a place. So it is, again, about a completion. Most of us live to have 2 Saturn cycles, Saturn returns. So the first one happens when we're about 28, 29. So there's a completion energy in that moment, because we are a full adult by the time we've reached 28, 29. When it happens again when we're 58 or so, whatever structures don't work for us anymore tend to break. So Saturn has a brittleness to it.
Interesting.
Thank you.
So is the card ruled by Saturn? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think so. Let's see.
Oh. One of the person's cards has a strong Saturn connection. Elizabeth's does, and who was the woman who was talking before? It was
Trisha?
Trisha, yeah.
Mine said that it was ruled by Virgo.
Yeah, that's what my book says too.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
Yeah.
How does Virgo relate?
Well, Virgo is an analytic quality, but it also is to do with digestion. It's interesting, somebody had licorice whose card had licorice?
Mine. Trisha. Okay.
So the licorice is very good for the digestion. And Virgo digests. It makes sense out of things by digesting.
Okay. God, it's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's very
So interesting.
It's just all connected.
In this book, it says that for a long time, licorice root has been used before meditation to help quiet the mind. It opens up blockages in the emotional realm and gently eases them out. And their place will be a deeper sense of peace and understanding.
I hadn't realized the emotional connection, but it seems to me if my stomach's upset, it's going to affect me emotionally. So that's good.
Yeah, love this book.
And often vice versa.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm upset, my stomach's usually gonna be upset.
And you have to be careful with licorice internally, because if you have high blood pressure, it can exacerbate that. But you can carry around the root with you, and that also helps to initiate inner peace.
Just carrying it with you. Oh, wow. So Elizabeth, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, because since the Hermit is my soul card, if you add my birthday, October 4th, 1957, all, the Theosophic edition, it ends up being 18, which is the moon, and then that collapses to 9, the Hermit. And in my life, I've met several people who were also Hermit moons. And one thing we tend to have in common is we want to learn everything, we want to know everything, we want to understand everything, but we don't necessarily have to do anything about it. So there's a sort of a reflective observer quality to it. It's like we want to know, oh, I get it. Okay, on to the next.
I understand that piece. So I'm going to check in with Mary here and see if she wants. I'm going to unmute you, Mary, since we had you muted. Did you have any comments that you wanted to share?
The Hermit is associated with Saturn and with Virgo, and I have Saturn in Virgo in my chart, so that explains why I'm very disorganized. It's in my 4th house. I don't have my thoughts together really, so try me again later.
Sure. Okay, that's good though. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share. So we'll check back in with you.
Thank you.
You can always contact me through the chat too, like you were. So let me know if you have a comment. Just say something through the chat, and I'll respond. Thank you.
Denise has her hand up.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was the thing that I think is so fascinating about the fact that we're talking about the Hermit is that in many ways, it's part of the pandemic, the paradox of the pandemic is that there's been kind of a forced hermitude. And I think a lot of people, not all, a lot of people are out there, protesting and, doing outer world things. But I also think there's a huge layer of the collective that is doing a lot of reflecting and inner sort of focusing. One of the things I think that happens when there's a lot of turmoil, one of the things that can happen is that people kind of pull in and kind of hunker down. There's that aspect. And then when I think about, I know it's been true for me and a lot of people that I've talked with in the last, whatever, when all of this business after Floyd was killed.
George Floyd.
The whole business of thinking about Black Lives Matter. And I think a lot of people in our culture are turning inward and trying to reflect on what are we doing? What have we done My goodness, we need to examine this internal problem, this deep, deep, deep internal terribleness that is in our culture.
Yeah.
And we have to look within. We have to look in our own hearts. I think many people who have said, you know, I'm not a racist person, and I'm, as a white person, I've been unspeakably unaware.
Right. Exactly. And
You know,
and yeah, that's it.
so
I've known about it, but what have I done about it? Would be the
and I think a lot of people, they might have known about it, but they didn't get it until they saw these videos. And I think that, I really think part of the task of the time now is to really do some deep soul searching and looking within. That's not to say don't move outward and do it outward, but we can't move outward until we see where we've been, where we are, and where we want to go.
Yeah, yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes.
So I just wanted.
That's very good, Denise. So Catherine has raised her hand electronically. So go ahead, Catherine.
I'm sorry. Okay, so Saturn is associated with karma and slavery, which dates back in the United States to 1600. 1610, I think, is when the first ship officially arrived on the James River.
Jeez.
This is 400 years of karma. And add into that what we did to the Native Americans.
Right.
And we're a country that have some karma to deal with.
No kidding. You know, it's interesting that you say that, Catherine, because I've been dealing with dreams that have to do with, I've seen this a couple of times, where something opens in the earth and the dreamer sees this hot magma that's like brewing. So I'm thinking in my version of that is that's that ancestral guilt that I carry as the dreamer, a lot of which I have nothing to do with, but I have to acknowledge it. I have to see it so that I can try to help. I mean, that energy's there. It's rage is underneath a lot of our surface life that we live. So thank you for that, because it's very important. I think that's, you know, Christine, you had your hand up too.
For me, and I wanted to let you finish what you're saying first.
Oh, I'm finished.
Okay.
I mean, for now.
Right. In this particular moment. I welcome other people's perspectives, but for me, the Hermit feels like, in a way, almost I know that it doesn't follow the Tower, but there's this shift, right, where we as humans, we as a society, we as individuals, as souls, should walk away from that which does not serve us. And one of you had the card where the Hermit had almost like latticing behind him, and he was walking to a plain space. And a part of me feels like hermitude, the choice to become a hermit historically, has been tied to leaving the parts of society that don't work, right? Leaving the harm that others can cause, and searching for truth and completion and happiness internally, so that we can then go back out into the world when we're ready, and when it's ready for us.
Do you have your box?
Oh, not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you got up again. I'm so sorry. I thought she went to get it. Never mind. Sorry.
No, just babbling about the Hermit.
I thought you asked her if she had her fox, and I thought, when did she have a fox? I'm so funny. Yeah, thank you for that, Christine. And you can show us later the fox. Yeah. Or the fox, either one. But yeah, there's
that's random.
I know, that's pretty random. There's this feeling of, Yes, I mean, that the paradox of what we're going through, something that I got interviewed on this podcast yesterday, and that was one of the questions I was asked was, you know, what has come out, what do I see that's come out of this pandemic close down period? And I mentioned these groups that Patty and I've been doing, and how paradoxically we have all come closer together while we've been separated from one another. And I think that's something that's an incredible paradox to hold, to realize that we are so incredibly connected. And this virus reminding us that, you know, we are connected more than we're ever going to realize. The Buddhists have been telling us that for for a century, millennia, and it's like, whether we like it or not, we are always connected. We have a couple of hands up here. We have, I think Mary Elizabeth wanted to say something.
Becky.
That's yeah. Oh, Becky, go ahead, Becky.
I read somewhere earlier in the year that the pandemic was visited upon us as a tool to isolate us and make us go inward and look at our spirit and our inward self, and to also connect, to see our connection as one with everyone else. So I can, it very much supports what many folks have said here.
Yeah.
Judy?
Yeah, when I'm thinking about the hermit and what's going on now, so first comes the you know, having stay at home. Okay, so now we're all in our own boxes. Okay,
Yeah.
and so we're kind of forced to go within, even if we don't intentionally, you know, intend to do that. And then while this is happening, here comes the protests, and now the light is being shined on places that we never even knew we had an issue with, or thought we, you know, here's this, we hear this systemic racism, and me thinking, well, I don't have anything to do with that. And well, wait a minute, that light is being shined, you know, where I'm realizing that there's a book out that's saying, so you want to talk about race. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have not done anything. I knew these things were going on, but a part of me certainly knew it, but I never brought it enough to the surface where I did anything about it or spoke up about it. And so that's really, yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now we have a lot of other hands up here. Olga, you had your hand up. You're muted still. Please, let me unmute you. See if I can unmute you on this side. There. Go ahead. No, I can't.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
So you had mentioned earlier, Billie, about the rage within that's boiling up, and in lots of ways, I think people have mentioned that we're realizing all the injustices in society, and that it's a good, positive kind of a light. What my concern is, you read so much about the really negative stuff, like all the murders and all the car thefts, all the negative stuff that's happening, and how can we relate that to what's happening? I mean, is there any way to relate that to the hermit?
Yeah, good question. I'm kind of like looking at a lot of hands up and trying to answer on chat. But yeah, there's ask me your question again. I'm sorry, please, because I got distracted. Go ahead.
Okay. You had mentioned that we as a society are dealing with some kind of internal you know, rage that's boiling up. Yes. And I said that in some ways it's positive because it's made us realize the injustices in society, and it has shown a light. However, there's all the negative stuff that's happening, like the increase in murders and the increase in car thefts and all the negative stuff that's coming out in the society, which makes me think, how can we, how do you, I mean, where is that coming from, and how can you relate that to the Hermit?
Well, the studying I've done about the Hermit mostly is the archetype of the wise old man. So, but the author cautions us to not look for that externally as an actual person, as a wise old man, but to find that wise man within. So there's some part of me that when I do go into solitude, when I do go into to this seclusion that we're all experiencing and cut off from the outside world, there's a voice inside that knows the wisdom of how to deal with all this. And it's not a black and white situation. It's not something that can be determined just by simple understandings. It's paradoxical. I think that's one of the biggest things that all of us have to understand, that any solution to anything is anything that we think is unsolvable is ultimately going to end in a paradox. There is no really wrong or right. It has to be, how do I find my inner truth? And I think that's my biggest thing about the Hermit, is finding that own truth that works for me. That's something that is my guiding light. It doesn't have to necessarily resonate with anyone else. It's true for me. So if that helps in any way, I don't know if I answered your question, but thank you for bringing that up. So we've got a whole bunch of people who want to talk. So Ruthie, you had your hand up a while ago. You want to go ahead?
Sure. Thanks, Billie. God, there's so many thoughts are coming to me, but I love what I think Christine said about what fits, about, I noticed the lattice too, that because it's got holes in it, spaces in it, so it's not completely, I don't know what the word is, but like covered, so where the light can get in. But also, I love what you said about fitting, what fits, because even in this current milieu, which I'm going crazy about, because I said my 2 words for the Hermit were isolation and freedom, which are paradoxical, but actually go together really well in terms of what does fit. So what does fit for me versus everyone else? And it's going to be different. Everybody has a different what's fit for me. And I think lately I've been shining a light on what does fit, because I'm always surprised when I go into that. It's like, wait a minute, this really doesn't fit. And when I look at it that way, it becomes so clear. It's amazing. And it points out my own truth, which is what you mentioned as well.
Yeah, so, the inner truth.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. So let's hear from Bo, and then I'm going to unmute Mary because she contacted me via chat. So go ahead, Bo.
Hi, guys. So I noticed a while ago, and I had a thought that as evolution goes on, that in order to see things clearly, you take an inhale and see the big picture, and then you exhale and experience the small picture, and you get your little ducks in a row, and then you inhale and see the big picture again, and then you go down and experience what you've seen.
Yeah.
And it seems to me, as above, so below, but as we breathe into the Hermit and we're kind of in this forced isolation, and almost like when you're meditating, you get so small and so quiet that you slip through, okay, when you're following your breath, and you come out into this whole other dimension. And I'm thinking that collectively, we're just coming into a whole another dimension. We're not alone. We're slipping into that other dimension.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's
so, yeah, that's it.
Does that it? Okay, that was amazing. Thank you. I got a big aha from that. So, Mary? did you want to say something? I'm unmuted you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think it was Denise who was talking about what's going on in our society and realizing the depth of the racial injustice in our country. For me here in Austin, I've been involved with a lot of activist work trying to address a lot of the injustices. For us in Austin who are paying attention, it's like the pandemic stopped the world so that the truth of our history could come to light. I see the light, the Hermit is carrying the light. For me, that light is the Black people who are working so hard to tell us what's been going on and to enlighten us about their reality, which ultimately is part of our reality as white people. I guess, well, let me think. So they are shining the light into our nation's shadow and bringing all this forth for everyone to go inward and think about. Although it's not just an inward process. We need to talk to each other about it. But I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say about this.
That's wonderful, Mary. I knew that you did a lot of activism work where you live. So thank you for your courage and commitment. Thank you.
Well, it's not courage. It's I mean, this has been an issue for me most of my life. The people who are truly courageous are Black people who are coming forward, and I'm so grateful that the younger Black people have finally come forward and said this is enough, and that they are carrying the light.
Wow. Great. Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much. Elizabeth, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yes, I think part of the reason I think the Hermit is really fitting now is because, yes, all the shadow is coming up, but also we're in a situation where there is no clear leadership, and people have to decide, find their own truth. Like, are schools going to open? What are schools going to look like? Who's sending their kids where? These are really almost existential questions that no real guidance is being given on, other than bullying and politicizing. So people have to really go inside themselves and say, okay, to heck with all the outside influences. What's true for me and myself and my family and our lives? So I think the Hermit in that phase has been very helpful and very healthy.
Thank you. Denise, go ahead.
You know, I want to speak to that, Elizabeth. What you said really made me think about something. I'm about to say something here that a friend of mine suggested a number of months ago. Many, many years ago, there was a book that came out, I think it was called Eric Byrne, called Games People Play. And this friend of mine who is a psychologist said, you know, our current number one quote unquote leader is a classic example of distraction. That's a game that people play. Let's just create so much chaos and let's just keep everything stirred up. And so when I think about what Elizabeth just said, I think that at some level, the only answer, or a huge answer to dealing with this kind of pathological and malignant distraction, which has in its also in its core destruction, is to kind of pull in and say, you know what, I'm not going to be distracted. I'm not. I'm going to think about what's important. I'm going to think about what's important for me, my family. I'm going to think about what's important for my neighbors. I'm going to think about what's important for me. I'm going to think about what's important for my city. I'm going to think about what's important for our culture. And at a certain level, having this gigantic upheaval, king distraction going on over here, and then the pulling in and the isolation. I mean, for me, it's going to sound very paradoxical, but it also makes sense. Because if we don't pull in, we get sucked in to this maelstrom of distraction and chaos and upheaval. It's the only sane response at a certain level to what it is that we're facing right now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well said, Denise. Thank you. Yeah. Listening to that inner voice. And that was one of the things that in the reading, which I will send everybody a PDF of the in fact, maybe this is a good time to do the screen share, because he talks about, the author talks about how it's almost impossible now to find a place of total silence. I mean, I feel this way all the time. Like I go to the grocery store and they're blasting out this music that I cannot stand. And then I go to get gas, and it's even at the gas pump now, there's either a TV or music blaring. And it's like, what happened to just quiet, and like just walking somewhere without having to hear all this stuff all the time. So he talks about how that we need to have that quiet in order to really hear the inner voice. Mary says, I use earplugs a lot, because it's that thing of there's just too much noise sometimes. And that noise, again, like you're saying, Denise, is that distraction, that part of us that, we want to just, I don't want to have my thoughts. I want to hear this horrible music that's blasting, that I didn't even ask to hear. So there's this sense of, how do I get to hear the voice from within that we're all talking about from our opening statements?
Well, that reminds me real quick of a quote that it's in my head all the time. We find ourselves in the quiet moments when the earth pauses and we are still. It's an anonymous quote, but it was on a card from Sister Claire in 7th grade. And that stays with me all the time, and I think that's what the Hermit is the quiet moments of being still and finding ourselves, because we're so distracted. Like, I agree, there's TV screens everywhere, there's music everywhere, and it's like, I just crave the nature and the quiet, which I think, being close to the earth and being connected, which I think, when you think of the African tribes, the Native American tribes, and all the earth energy, there's so much more connected, and we lost our connection. And so this time going inward, I feel, is an invitation to be still.
Yeah. So Christine, did you want to say some of the things that you put in chat? Do you want to say some of them to the group?
Yeah, sure. I would love to share them. I think, so two things. I'm not going to remember who it was that was sharing. It might have been Denise. Denise, you talked so much about the chaos and the destruction that we experience, and that the right answer to that is to kind of come back in and to look inward. And I absolutely loved when Patty shared early on. I had to write it down because I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to sit in reflection of it. This thought that the essence of my knowledge is the knowledge of my essence, and that in looking inward, we can understand the macrocosm around us so much better. And again, there is all that chaos, there is all that noise, there's all that din that numbs us from engaging with ourselves fully. And so absolutely, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, Billie, that when we seek out these places of quietude, we're able to heal our minds, and we're able to become more pinpointed to what our truth is.
I think Christine has her fox.
I do. I have my fox. I can share it now. Actually, if you want.
Said, I'll share it with you private to interrupt. And I was like, you're not going to interrupt. We all want to see your fox.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't bring my fox. I brought my box. But if you want a fox, I do have a connection to that animal. So I do have a piece of art of a fox in my home that I can.
Okay. See, that's where I got it from.
It's there. The fox is real, but so I don't have the sleeve. But here's the box for the wild unknown.
Oh, it's a mandala. That's so pretty.
It is, and it's, you can't see it, but it's by Kim Krans, Krans. And it comes with, you know, a very simple guidebook. Kim never looks at cards reversed, which I think, which is a practice that I'm still trying to navigate what my practice is. But again, she goes through, you know, all of the cards, and then the deck itself lives inside another little box.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And the cards are just very simple images of nature.
Nice.
Oh, I like it.
Mhm.
I bet there's a fox in that box.
You know, I should look while we're talking.
I don't know where the fox energy came from, but it was there, you know. So
you've got the PowerPoint, Billie? Did you say?
Yeah, it's just a PDF, but let me see if I can do this, because it always kind of is a little bit tricky. But let's see. We're gonna share. I'm gonna share here. Okay, give me a second. All right. So I always send these PDFs to everyone after the call. If this opens, it'll open here in a minute. Okay, Hayo. I'm learning how to say his first name. Hayo. He calls the Hermit there. Now there's the Rider-Waite. That's the image that most of us are familiar with, and it's usually a wise old man with a lantern and a staff. And as we mentioned before, when Patty was reading the meditation, he's often in a cold area, and it depicted on usually on a mountaintop. So the archetype is the wise old man, the hermit, the guru that everyone climbs to the top of the mountain to talk to. And so he calls it in this book, the Hermit's is my one's true nature. So like going within deep enough to find who I truly am through that solitude, through that introspection. So then he starts talking about the archetype of how we will find, if we can find that wise old man archetype, then we usually receive a gift. And it's that gift we have to be very open to receive when it comes along, because it's not going to be something that we expect it to be. So the gift isn't necessarily going to be something that I anticipate. But I like this quote from Jung here, where he says that assesses that our innate talent of imitating others is of the greatest utility for collective purposes, but most pernicious for individuation. So that's the thing we were talking about before. How does it fit for me? It doesn't matter what it seems for someone else. You know, the way somebody else is doing it, that doesn't jive for this kind of energy, for this archetype. It's more about what matters to me, what's most important to me, and what is my inner truth. So he talks about Parsifal and the Holy Grail. One of my very favorite stories goes real deep into that, with how Parsifal finds his true name by talking with the hermit in the cave and connecting with that energy to find his maturity and his growth.
So would the hermit then be like a Merlin, or Merlin's
yeah
yeah,
exactly, because he kind of he talks about how what our common versions of it that show up in history. He even mentions Moses, and how Moses can be considered the hermit energy, because Moses took the wandered with the Jews for 40 years, and they all learned through that experience, learning the true nature. Who am I really? What is my true name? So there's this idea of, Odin. See, Odin's another one. This wise old man energy with the beard and everything that shows up frequently. And again, everybody will get copies of this after the call. So Moses, and he does mention Merlin right here. Merlin, who's a key figure as the wise old man in the cycle of King Arthur legends, and even more familiar to us. So there's all those. So that's what's amazing about these archetypes, is they will show up in stories all over the world, in whatever culture you're in. You'll have a version of it. And then there's this one bit that he always closes with, where he gives, let's see, here we go. There we go. He gives the archetype as the wise old man, as we were talking about. Task is retreat, withdrawing into oneself, appropriate seriousness, contemplation, inner collection. That's interesting, inner collection. Like, what am I collecting everything together? Self-knowledge is the goal, shielding oneself from outside influences, everything we've been talking about. Perceiving personal standards of values, being true to oneself. And the risk is being an odd character, eccentric, otherworldliness. I'm like, yay, somebody from my team. Embitterment. And then the feeling in life is clarity, inner peace, finding oneself, and standing up for oneself. So that is that's what we will send to you after. I will send to you after the meeting today. That gives us some feelings of where this archetype shows up in stories and myth.
Thank you, Billie. That's always so fun to see.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Does anybody else have anything? Some people are kind of quiet. I don't know if there's people who have things to say that haven't been said.
Ruthie is Ruthie, did you have something?
Yeah, years ago, I had my tarot read, and this one particular time I got the Hermit as my future, and he had a lantern and a hood, hooded garment, and a staff, but he was in the water in like a canoe, so almost like sailing to a different land. And I do love, and at the time I was like so disappointed. Oh my God.
But how you got it as an image as a hypnotic, when you're in a hypno journey or something, or
it was a card.
It was a card. And
Yeah.
so, okay. And it was somebody in a boat, but it had looked like the Hermit. But why was that disappointing? Well,
because at the time I was like, oh my God, I'm going to spend my life alone.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Loneliness. Now I'm seeing other parts of that, and it's beautiful. So now I think it's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I said to Billie when she said the Hermit. I was like, I hate that card because I've been alone my whole entire life. But I don't really hate the card because my inner journey has been what's brought me fully into myself. So, but it's funny because I thought that too with the Hermit. Every time I see it, it'd be like, oh no, another 6 years alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we're taking it a little too literally there.
Actually, I wonder what made you choose the Hermit for this meeting.
Really good question. As we said last time, we don't really choose the cards choose us. It's been an interesting journey how this has happened, because I think the only one we chose deliberately was the Fool, because we realized that we were jumping off into the unknown, and then from there different things occur that happen that it just becomes like, okay, this has got to be it. Mm-hmm. So, and it seemed to be because of our forced seclusion. That was one of the reasons, because so many of us have had to draw back, and so many things have been closed, and group events and things. Yeah. So Mary, I unmuted you if you wanted to say something. You had put some stuff in the chat, and I just wanted to know if you wanted to say it to the group.
Oh, well, hello? Yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
A minute ago, Billie was reading something that talked about inner collection, and I took that as collect being used not as in collecting things, but in the way of such as I had to collect myself. I had to calm myself. That's
right.
how I feel. So much has been said that I want to respond to, and I can't remember it all, and we don't have time, and this has been very stimulating. I'm alone a lot, even when the world is not shut down. I prefer to be alone, and so I guess the hermit means a lot to me. Yeah, I'm just having all kinds of thoughts, and I just can't get them organized. But I've really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate having this. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. Yeah, you can join anytime to the dream groups or whatever. We'll stay in touch, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Catherine, you have your hand up?
Donna had her hand up too a minute ago.
Okay.
Have Donna go first.
Donna, go ahead.
Donna? Not me. You had your hand up a minute ago.
Maybe it was. Did you have your hand up?
Oh, I don't know how to mute. No.
Okay.
I think, am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
No,
I've had many thoughts along the way too, very valuable thoughts, and I can't quite come out with them here and now. But it's been a great conversation, and I see this COVID thing, as hard as it is, as an opportunity for all of us to go within. I think that a lot of people are doing a lot of deep thinking, and that's valuable. But I sure do hate what's going on in our culture. It's pretty sad. And
yeah,
I can't think of anything for me to do about it other than just go within and wait it out.
You can contact your representatives in our
Yeah.
political representatives. And yeah, there's lots of things we could do. You just have to look around, huh, Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so well, before I know that Catherine has her hand up, but I wanted to respond to that, Donna. You know, more and more I've been thinking of this as an incubation, as some kind of, you know, it's like, and I think we've talked about this before, is that that the caterpillar has to completely dissolve within the cocoon in order to become a butterfly. So if we look at this in the sense of that we're in the process of dissolving the way that we were, and our society is dissolving in the way that it has always been, in order for things to be better. But there has to be, and that's the other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I see myself going through the same process that our culture is going through.
Yeah, it's difficult to see it in a positive light, because I've gone through all kinds of emotional roller coaster over this. That was one of the things I posted on Facebook, was the corona corona coaster, where it's like, you know, one day we're doing, like, you know, you're working out, you're taking your supplements, everything, and then the next day it's like gin for breakfast, you know, because it's like there's like this up and down, and these some days I'm very blue and very down about this situation. I had to cancel my retreats this year. You know, those are the kind of things that I'm all about, getting people together in groups. There's the only way that I think we can survive is to see whatever is the destruction before the reconstruction, which is what we talk so much about with the tower. So if that helps in any way, that's what helps me, is to think of that dissolving in order before we blossom into our butterfly. Got a bunch of hands up. Catherine, you had your hand up first, so I'm going to call on you. Go
Well,
ahead.
just the word fracture seems another word, but the Hermit offers, as many have said, and as you just said, the opportunity to collect myself.
Yeah.
And I am just a reflection, if I'm fractured, of what's outside of me. And if I use the Hermit card, I can go inside and pull myself together. And I want to say something briefly about that. People always think that there's very little we can do. I will posit that if I go inside and pull myself together and listen to things that I need in order to raise my level of understanding, for example, reading Ibram Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. If I do my work of whatever it might be, I change my shape.
Yes.
And in changing my shape, I have the opportunity to somehow or other touch others with my changed shape that I might have done quietly. I might have done finding inner calm and inner collection and inner completion, and had introspection and become spacious as a result of bringing myself back into unification. So for me, that is a lot to do and offer and be. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'm done.
Excellent. So let's go. We had Ruthie and Bo, and then Judy. So because we got a lot of people that are at the same time. I'm sorry, was somebody else saying something? Donna, did you have a comment after that?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. So Ruthie, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick that transformation naturally breeds chaos. It just, because it's like, we're tearing everything apart. And even when you're organizing papers, they're all over the room before they can be organized. So
yeah, right. I'm going through that currently.
Me too. And I'm so glad that you said that about being really, taking your vitamins one day and feeling up, and exercising, and the next day feeling really, really blue, because it's in the same place. Most of us are, I guess.
Right.
So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So Bo, go ahead.
I've been noticing, and I've been bouncing this off a number of people, and they all say, yeah, that your personal life, your emotions, who you are, your morals, your spirituality, whatever you do, inside is shifting. Your relationships are shifting. Your community is shifting. Your country is shifting. The world is shifting. And it seems like we're on a constant shift, and we're just going like this. And we're just busy trying to find our balance. And we can't put anything in boxes, because I think one of my habits, I don't know about anybody else as a human being, but I suspect, that one of my habits is trying to put the absolute beautiful chaos of the universe into a box so I can make sense of it, so I can feel safe.
Right, right.
And I can't do that because I'm too busy trying to find my balance. And just trying to function from you, which is very Buddhist in all actuality. The paradox, guys.
Right.
Balance, rule, and trying to get a viewpoint of the truth from this position. I think maybe, speaking of the chaos of the universe, that there's two kinds of chaos going on right now, and so many different levels of it. That there's different chaos going on at the same time, and it's really hard to get a handle on the chaos that Trump's causing, the darkness, the this and that and the other thing. But the world is shifting too, and the world is moving, and I think we're more aware of it. So it's just trying to get a handle on things that we can't get a handle on, and groups like this help. you know, because they go, yeah, we got that. We're going through it too. Yes, let me have a witness.
Yes, exactly,
That's
exactly.
it. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
You have to realize that, yeah, that we're not alone. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else anybody has to say here at the club? Becky, go ahead. And oh, Judy, we had Judy before. I'm sorry. We'll go Becky, then Judy. I'm sorry. Jumped over you.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
I've had last couple of nights. I've had catastrophe dreams, and we are staying at someone's place who is down in Florida, and right on the coast, right there on the water, is where they are. And then suddenly this big, humongous storm blows up, and Ben and I know we have got to get out of there. You know, no matter what the people do that are living there, we've still got to get gone because the storm surge is gonna wash out everything, and so I feel like it's the pandemic, I guess, and coming after us, and it's time for us to move and do things that are positive to ward that off, rather than just to whatever, just, you know, not worry about getting washed away. But
Yeah.
it just seems to apply.
Yeah, thank you for that. And after Judy, I'll have a comment about destruction dreams. So we'll close with that. Judy, go ahead.
Yeah, when somebody had said something about, but I don't know what to do. And then that reminded me of when Patty, during her meditation, was saying, what would the hermit, say to you? Which reminded me of, in hypnotherapy, I will often use the tarot cards, and because of all the symbolism, and it really connects, the subconscious mind. And one of the things that I will ask them to do, let's say they drew the Hermit card, and then I would have them, what would they want to say to the Hermit, ask the Hermit or whatever, and then have them become the Hermit. And so you imagine yourself that you are the Hermit, and now you have a very important message to tell the client. And you really do, when you move into, of course you mock it up and you say, feeling the energy of what it feels like to be the Hermit. And here you are, Hermit, and so is here and has asked this question of you. What do you want her or him to know more than anything? And then always, without fail, it is profound. It is profound because it's shining that light, on the answers that are really from within. And so what we can do that on our own. I mean, I do it, when I'm really puzzled by something, or I really am stumped, and I go, well, this is not doing any good to just ruminate over it. I'll just pick a card, and I pick a tarot card, and then I will become a character in that card, and then speak to me from that perspective. And I always will get something to do, or something that I could think about, or some area, some path to follow. And so that is something that, even if you're alone, you have a tarot deck card, it's something you can do, and it really does give you guidance.
It's quite amazing, and I know I've experienced these types of things, Judy, with what we some friends of ours used to do dream portrayal. And so they would have a lot of scarves and hats and props and things, and the dreamer could choose from the group for people to play a particular role in the dream. And it was always so profound what would come often out of people's mouths, and they had no idea.
Exactly.
I've also experienced a lot of constellation work does the same thing, where it's like I'm a stand-in for someone else's relative, and then I'm saying things and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what my mother would have said. So there we go again with that
collective unconscious.
Right. And yes, those are reminders and that's why our dreams that's why I'm so devoted to the dreams, because I have the wonderful bird's eye view of being able to see so many different dreams from so many different people, some from many different areas of the world. And it's like, what we were saying before about the when Becky brought up destruction dreams, you know, I've seen a lot of destruction dreams lately, and it's a lot about, but it ends up being something beautiful happens with it. One dreamer has an avalanche that an earthquake causes an avalanche outside her window, which causes her whole abdomen to be filled with this dirt, and out of that dirt grows these beautiful flowers.
Oh,
that
wow.
reminds her of a time in her life that was really a special time. So that for me was a really hopeful image of, and often our destructive dreams, our dreams of destruction are actually much more hopeful than they look on the surface. Something of the old has to die and be cleared out so the new can be born. So, right, I think we're at the end here. Patty, do you have some things you want to mention about your work and all the books? There's so many books.
Yeah.
Of Patty
Thank
Ashley.
you all for attending. Those of you that attended our book group last week, we've got a video of that as well. This launched last week. Shame-informed therapy for therapists and people who want to go inward. And then my course online, Go In Not Out, is really related to what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So I wrote it at the beginning of the lockdown because I felt this whole energy of, wow, we're invited to go in. So I wanted to create some tools. There's PowerPoints and videos and worksheets on my website, pattyashley.com.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've done, Billie and I have done some good conversations about all of it too, that are on my Facebook Live at 11 on Fridays.
I'm not there every Friday, but sometimes.
We should be. We should do that again real soon.
We can do it again. It's Facebook Friday. Yeah. So you can contact me through wakeuptoyourdreams.com. I have 2 groups running right now. An evening group that meets Tuesday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And then there's one happening this Tuesday. There's still room. And then there's another group that meets on Thursday afternoons, 2 Thursdays a month. That one's very popular, fills up pretty quick. Denise is a regular member there, and she comes quite often. And we always have a great time. We always share a lot with the dreams. And so I'd love to hear from any of you. So go to my website anytime and contact me if you have any questions.
Thanks, Billie, again. This is always amazing. And I appreciate everyone showing up and sharing all their gifts and wisdom.
I do miss the group so much. I miss being in person contact and hugging and sharing tea and things together, tea and sympathy together. You know, it's like that's really hard for me to. I'm gonna have to give up on the fall dream retreat as well. I had to cancel the big awakening was canceling the spring one, but I don't see any possibility of being able to go forward mid-October. Seems way too soon. Yeah.
I bet you people would vote for you doing, I bet people would vote for a Zoom retreat, right?
There we go.
A lot of people have been asking me that, and I've been wondering how that, and maybe Terry, before we that would be something that Terry could chime in on. Could you see yourself helping with movement on an online retreat? If it would
optimally, my professional life is going to go in a direction where I'm doing everything virtually. That, including but not limited to that. So
yeah,
the long answer is for yes.
Right, because I mean that's one of the things that's wonderful about the retreats is I've always had somebody that helps us get up and move around, so that we're not just sitting and talking about our dreams for hours on end, which we can easily do. But but I was thinking about that the other day. You know, it would be great to have this kind of forum, and then be able to still have some movement involved. So that's great.
Great to be a part of that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So we'll keep you posted. We'll see if there's any possibilities of some kind of form of it's not really kind of like a retreat because we're not getting really away, but we're all sort of on a forced retreat as it is. We have a staycation that's going on for a while here. So, all right. Thank you all again for coming. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for everything.
you.
All right.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
See you
All right.
next time.
Good night. Good
Bye,
day.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
y'all. All right. Take care.